Hey everyone, Samir here, and today I decided to make another video. So I'm just wanted to make a video about the past 6 years we lived in Canada. The pros, the cons, things that I would do differently, all these things that I have in mind. So firstly, just even the idea of moving to Canada, not even sure if it's a great idea, um, because at the time I was working in Russia and I was making several times more than a regular person who lives in Russia. I was living good. My wife was working too, so now that there is war, probably wouldn't make that much. So in this case, it does make a good deal that I actually moved. But everybody's case is different, right? So I still have friends who live in Russia and still are pretty well off, because the companies where they work, they're still working, right? And they're still getting paid. They still have all these things going on, right? So as of to me, I mean, for me, the main thing was like racism. That was one of the things that I didn't like. People were just, in general, in Soviet countries, are rude. Nobody stands in line. People have their thoughts about certain things, like um, don't wear certain clothes, don't say this, blah blah blah. So I was tired of that too. But yeah, then we decided to come here, right? So if I would go back, would I go somewhere else? Probably not. Still come to Canada. Maybe I would go to a different province, right? A different city. That was another thing. So we decided to come to Toronto because it's the largest city in Canada, and at the same time there are lots more opportunities. That's what everybody was thinking. So that's why we decided to come here. But now I'm thinking that you don't need a lot of opportunities. You just need one. So you don't have to go to a city which has a lot of opportunities, because you're gonna just take one of those opportunities, right? So another thing I realized is working for yourself is always better than working for somebody. In Canada, because of the taxes, we end up paying a lot of taxes like upfront. So the government takes the big paycheck. Like the first thing that happens is when you get a salary, the government takes half of it. Well, if you make I think more than 100,000, they take half of it. In other cases, they take like 30%. So, but when you work for yourself, you can actually write off your expenses against your income and lower your taxable base, and it will save you a lot of money. So in Canada, what I was surprised to see is people who do like labor work, and some contractors like building things like drywall, electricians, cleaners, anything, right? Movers, demolition people, I don't know, like all these construction people. Some of them, actually most of them, they are better off than people who work in an office, which is different from where I'm from, right? So in our countries, is people who are in the office, they always make more money. So it's the opposite here. So here, if you know how to change a toilet, you can make more money than I don't know, like a bank clerk, which is very interesting, right? So I was always thinking that white collar people, they make more money, but it's the opposite here. Blue collar people make more money in Canada. And I'm working right now as a blue collar worker technically. I'm in sales, so I travel to people's homes and I sell them windows. I also sell real estate, I sell mortgages. And it's a business. All of these works are considered businesses, so I can have expenses in relation to this income that I generate. So let's say driving somewhere, you have to burn gas, right? So that's things. So for example, you have to have a cell phone to contact your client. So certain things like that you can write off, right, against your income, which makes sense, right? Because you only have those expenses because you're doing that work. But when you work in an office, let's say a clerk, he still has to get to the office, so he can't write off the expenses of getting to the office. So it doesn't make sense, right? So only self-employed people can. So it puts you at a better position. So that's one thing. So as soon as you come, try to do self-employed work. Don't go into this stupid rabbit hole of working for some company where you get salary. Basically, you're trading your time for money. Whether you're effective or not effective, that's a secondary. But you're getting paid per hour, regardless of what you do within that hour, right? Which is stupid. In the other case, you can sell the results for money. It doesn't matter how many hours it took you. If you are able to achieve it, you get paid. Basically, you sell your energy for money, so which is better. And you can write off your expenses that way. That's what I realized, and that's a good realization. Another thing is obviously there is still racism in Canada too, even though nobody talks about it. Sometimes people get surprised that I'm not a white guy who comes to their home, right? And they're surprised that I actually am good at what I do. And I just explained to them, I actually have a lot of clients and customers, so it doesn't matter. It's all usually older people, like old school people. But generally it's okay here. Now in terms of the cities, just the idea of living in a city is also not good. You pay extra for all these things that you may not use. Taxes, right? So to buy a house, let's say in Toronto, you have to pay double taxes versus anywhere else you just pay once. Here you pay federal and municipal, so it's twice. The land transfer tax amount is twice than in other places. Also, Canada is a country of immigrants. Sorry, I think I stopped recording. So Canada basically is a country for immigrants, and it's a trap basically here, So you get attracted to come here, you promise to have a good job and make a good life. In reality is most people don't, right? So they can't afford to buy groceries, can't afford to buy a house, can't afford to raise kids or have kids. Kids considered luxury, right? House considered a dream, right? So in reality, it's not this case. So for us, it happened, but for most people, it doesn't. And we're lucky because it happened for us. We have 2 kids, right? And have a place to stay. Right, so most people don't end up buying something in a year after they arrive in Canada. We're lucky in this sense. And that's not what's marketed, It's marketed that everybody will have these things, and it's sad that it's a lie, right? Most people don't get to anywhere close to this. They just end up going to food banks. Like we have now huge lines. I think in our food bank in Toronto, I read in the news, sometimes like kilometer long lines. People wait to get free food. Um, People can't afford to buy anything. They have to rent places that they don't feel safe in. There's no jobs, so people end up working in very basic jobs like food delivery, like things that you don't actually need education for. And you'll see that some even college graduates here, they can't find a job, which sucks. So what's the purpose of paying so much money to study here if you can't even find a job after you've done? So isn't that the whole promise of the college? Why you spend so much money on it? And it costs twice more for international students than for local students. And you don't really need any education to do anything that I'm doing right now. For example, you can go sell windows, you can go sell, I don't know, Rolex watches, you can sell yachts, you can sell cars, you can sell houses. For houses you did need a real estate license, but for other things you don't need the licenses. So it's free. You don't have to go to university, college, even high school. I'm not sure if you need even high school degree for that. Yeah, so as long as you can talk and reason with people, that's all you need. So that's just the idea about don't spend money on crap. And also another thing I realized is about the consumerism. So this culture here, it promotes spending money and consuming more than you need. Like get a new car, new clothes, and go to coffee places, go to restaurants. Like it's experiences in one way, but also it's consumerism. You don't actually need it. You choose to have it, but when you choose to have it, know that how long it takes you to make that money, right? So if you choose to do certain things without thinking about it, you'll end up regretting those choices, and they'll pile up. So better not to spend extra on anything, just be frugal. Just get what you need and lower your needs. People try to spend more money to fit into the society they live in, like their friends, their circle, to be accepted. And that's where the problem starts. So if your friends went on vacation to a certain place, you're like, I have to go into the same place. If friends bought a new car, you have to buy a new car. If your friends go to certain stores, you go to the certain stores. If friends go to Starbucks, you go to Starbucks. But that's stupid, you know. You shouldn't try to fit in. You should be just on your own. And there are people like normal who don't need to relate to each other based on consumerism, just based on who you are, right? So I'm still a consumer, but I'm not the same consumer I was before. I consume much less. You can't completely escape consumerism. You'll have to consume all the time, but you can do reasonably. Like we cook at home most of the time, 99% of the time, right? So these kind of things I think are important. Not having any debts, right? That's the biggest challenge, because you're always like on a needle, right? The debt is a needle. Like get a credit card, get a credit card. Everybody's gonna offer it to you. And it's good to have credit cards. I use credit cards a lot and make a lot of cash back from this. I never have any balance left at the end of the month though. And I know a lot of people have debts, and when they do, that means that they have to keep working to pay it off. So their salary just goes into paying off the loans, the debt. You know, the debt is on the rise. A lot of banks are in trouble because of people cannot repay their debts, especially people that don't have mortgages. Like their debts are even higher because they use credit cards to finance the purchases, which has a higher interest than, let's say, mortgage, right? So because when you have a mortgage, you can consolidate your debt into the mortgage. people who can't afford mortgages, they end up having even worse debts. So that's even worse. Now, for example, buying a house in Toronto, not a house, just like a condo, may cost you anywhere from 600,000, but you can buy a house in Nova Scotia for 200,000. So that's a big difference, you know. So imagine how long you'll have to work to pay this off versus over there. Yeah, there may be less jobs, but as I said, you don't need to work for somebody, you work for yourself. So you need to figure out what can you do there. Just do anything, you know. Learn any basic skill and then do that. And come with that skill. Forget about your university degree and like everything that you've done. For that you need to work in a city. And in a city you have more expenses, so you work to pay those off. So it's never ending cycle. That's why it's better to do something different and where it will be at a low cost living for you. So that's my piece of advice for people who want to move. Another thing maybe is about the nature, and the nature is great. It's green, lots of trees, lots of mosquitoes, right? Lots of rain. I like it, and some people don't. So know that when you come here in the summer, you're gonna have mosquitoes in the forests, and in the winter it's gonna be snowy. But if you get a dog or animal, you can walk every single day and be proud of that too. So that's a good way to get some exercise. Other things to consider maybe is just, I don't know, like regular shopping. They also encourage consumerism by making you spend more money than you need. So consuming things as well. So like buy one get one free. So you end up buying two instead of one. You actually need only one, for example, something, and then you end up buying two, right? So which is a waste. Yeah, that's just my thoughts, and wish you guys good luck. I'm not sure if this is gonna help anyone, but that's my thoughts about Canada. Another thought maybe about politics. I don't like the current government. I don't like the spending to prevent climate change. Like I think we should be reasonable about it, not go crazy about these things. I don't like certain things that they do. I think it's time for them to go. Right, and I think they will gonna leave soon, and the conservative party will come in, maybe do some things better, right? But definitely crime is on the rise. Like in Canada, it's another thing I forgot to mention is, for example, about the crime. It's the highest place for car theft, almost I think in the world. I'm not sure, but Toronto is very high in this. Like every day, like hundreds of cars are stolen in Toronto, and police catch the people, and they can't keep them in jail. They release the next day on bail, and they go and do another robbery, and they're released again. So there is no law which prevents them to be in jail because of human rights being at such a high level, which I think is ridiculous. So people should be going to jail and staying there forever until, if they have repeated things that they've done, they shouldn't be let out. The liberal idea is, oh, everybody has rights and you should treat everybody as if they haven't done anything, and even if they done, like it's kind of stupid. It's just too much, you know. So that's ridiculous. I don't know. They have some other laws which are stupid. And then carbon taxes, right? So we pay so much in carbon taxes right now, and carbon taxes affect everybody. So like when you buy groceries, people who grow groceries, and they have to pay extra for their carbon tax, which gets delivered here, right? So when, let's say, somebody is paying taxes to get the product in, for example, from the farm, so we end up paying for those things when we buy them in the store, and then we end up spending more money on our gas, so it ends up being costing us much more money than it actually is. So this should stop, right? Other stupid things that they spend money on, I don't know, like changing street names. I mean, it costs millions of dollars from budget. I know they want us to change one of the streets names in turn. Doesn't make sense to me. So I think it's all stupid, you know. So just too much going on, too much people working for the government. There should be less people working for government. Government job shouldn't be considered a best job, and it is right now, unfortunately. So government people make the most money and make most pension, and they're most better off than anybody else. So I think that shouldn't be the case. Government should work for people and not be the most prestigious place. Should be less prestigious, and there should be servants to people, but they're not. Feels like they're more privileged in Canada. So maybe somebody can use this to their benefit. If you guys want to work for the government, it pays well and have good security, basically job security. And some people, I think the government, even they don't want to retire because like they'll get a higher pension. I say this NDP leader, I think, or some other ones, they all make money. So there's corruption here everywhere. Trudeau's family, they make money from China. They have their funds where they can donate there, and they can have speakers and blah blah blah. You know, they goes on vacations for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then he talks about carbon tax, like when he burns off so much fuel just to get there. So it's all ridiculous. There is corruption in Canada. It's not like you think. Yeah, so every country has its own problems, and you have to accept these problems when you come here. You know that you're not going to the place like in the commercials they show you. It's different, so it has its own problems. People are, you know, not happy. They are not happy with the government, not happy with the prices, not happy with the taxes. There are less jobs, so still you can make it work though, right? So that's the reality. You come here, you work to make a living, and which pays for people who already are in Canada. So you will end up renting something, which means somebody will buy this and give this to you for rent, so they will profit from it. You'll spend your savings here, so it means the banks, you'll have to open a bank account, the banks will profit, cell phone companies will profit, you'll have to buy a cell phone. All this economy works basically on immigrants. If immigrants stop coming, the economy is just gonna collapse. That's it. So there's actually no real economy here. It's all like a pyramid scheme. It's the people who came here first, now they have resources and they rent to the ones who are coming new, right? So they stand on the top of the pyramid. So people who come newer, they're serving the ones before, and the ones before serve the ones before them, right? So until it goes to the very top, where there's only like 2 airlines, WestJet and Air Canada. There's no other competition. There's only, I don't know, LCBO, which sells alcohol. There's only, like, there's a lot of monopoly in Canada, you know. So super monopolistic place. So come join the pyramid. Basically, you stand on the bottom of the pyramid when you come. Depends. Maybe you'll come to the middle. Depends on how much money you have. and what you can do. But you can come already and join the pyramid and determine where you will be in that pyramid, right? But you will be somewhere in there. Alright, I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. If you guys have any questions or maybe some topics I forgot to mention, just write me down below and I will maybe make another video about that. All the best. Take care.